Hello, and thank you for taking the time to listen to these messages. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Also, check out the description box for ways to support our channel. Thank you. Hello, welcome back to the Collective Perspective. My name is Alec Himes. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to these messages and um, to give positive feedback in the comments, should you choose to do so. Again, this is a collective thing. This is something that we all want to give feedback on. We're all going to have different views. We were all raised different. We come from different cultures, different walks of life, different environments and circumstances. So we're not all going to have the same exact political or economic or, spiritual or life views. You know what I'm saying? But this is, again, a collective where we can all come together and we can freely exchange those ideas and freely exchange, some of the things that, we believe and have worked for us in our lives. And hopefully, you know, we can all come away with something that can help us in the long run. That's what this is all about, is for us to have a conversation, a narrative about different things and help each other, grow in our thought processes in different areas of our lives. So today's topic, I would like to speak a little bit about slavery. Because, again, speaking on whether it be cultural, generational, different walks of life may view things differently, right? And when you look at the period of time coming out of the physical slavery, right? You had chattel slavery, which was that was like the pinnacle of it. You know what I mean? That was like, you know, where they fully instituted that system or that plan that they wanted to institute, a long-term vision of what they wanted to institute. And when you look at it, it's like, you know, they came over, they colonized, okay, and then they almost instantly started to kill and enslave the people that were already here inhabiting the land. So, almost day one from this country's inception, it was founded on death and enslavement of people. But the original vision wasn't like that. You know what I mean? You had the pilgrims and the different people that were coming over trying to escape the religious persecution of the Catholic Church. So that's why the original concept of this country was, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all, because the Protestants and the people that were fleeing Europe, they saw the tyranny and they saw the absolute, iron fist of the Catholic Church, or the Church of Rome, rather. And so that's what caused the splintering of, beginning with Martin Luther and the forming of the Protestant Church, and then all of the Protestant denominations, Christian denominations from that point. And, you know, they started to see that, they were being enslaved, they were being persecuted by the Church of Rome. So that's why they came here. And so the concept and the founding of this country was noble in its inception, but it quickly turned, as most things do throughout history. It may start off as a good cause, or it may sound good at its inception, but it quickly morphs or perverts into something that is not for the benefit or best interest of all parties. And that means even the people that you're choosing to subjugate or enslave. if you truly had a universal love and a unconditional love and empathy for all beings, then you could not, in your right mind or in your conscious, enslave another being, regardless. It doesn't matter if you view them as inferior or less educated or more ignorant or what have you. Any moral person that is operating in divine universal law would not and could not enslave another being. It's a fact. So that inception or that initial view or that initial ideology or thought of what America was going to be quickly turned into something very nefarious, at the least. Um, Again, almost immediately, you had them, killing and enslaving the the people that were already here that were inhabiting this land for hundreds and thousands of years before anyone ever came from the continent of Europe, for sure. When you look at the pattern of, it was almost like it's like you see if I'm in a village that's 5 miles down the road from another village, and those colonizers or settlers came in and they completely obliterated and murdered and did the most unspeakable things to the inhabitants of that village. Me in my right mind, seeing what happened to the village 5 miles up the road, I'm not going to give you a chance to do it to me. My family and I, we're going to pick up and we're going to move and we're going to be gone. So that way, just like it was documented in a lot of cases, when those people came upon a lot of those villages and settlements, they were empty. Those people were already gone. They were already very well aware of what was coming their way. Okay, and those that they caught or those that decided to fight against what was coming, those are the ones that were made an example of. Those are the ones that they spent all day killing and mutilating and raping and torturing and doing whatever they wanted to do to those people. So they sent a very clear message to anyone who would, stand against them in the future. Like, hey, this is what's going to happen to you if you're not gone by the time we get to your village. You know what I'm saying? And so that pattern repeated itself. And so they enslaved pretty much everybody, everyone that didn't look like them. And then you had the founding of this country and coming up through the ranks. After enslaving the people and seeing that having a physical slavery, you know what I mean? If I enslave that person, I have to provide for their needs. I have to feed them. I have to clothe them. I have to, you know, uh, take care of their medical expenses. I have to keep them in good, sound condition so that they can perform their duty for me. You know what I mean? Because I'm looking at that, and I hate to say it like this, but this is what they thought. And I'm looking at that person, or that they're not even looking at it as a person. I'm looking at that thing over there as an investment. I spent X amount of dollars, or I did spent so much time, to train them properly to perform this task, and this is now an investment that becomes an essential part of, my business or my livelihood, or the functioning of my homestead or my family environment. So they looked at us as property, man, like we were nothing. And so coming out of the physical slavery, they realized that it was far too expensive to house, to clothe, to feed, to take care of all the medical expenses of whatever commodities that they had, shall we say. And so they realized it's like, okay, well, let's change this a little bit. Let's change up this paradigm. Let's start to encourage the elite to be entrepreneurs and business owners, right? And we're going to come up with a way to tax and organize all this stuff, and that's how the mainstream jobs and the mainstream duties of America became a part of the slavery, became a part of the plantation. They took and they changed the plantation to a country scale. Like this whole country is one big plantation. It was almost like it was an experiment. And then once they saw that, hey, this is lucrative, we can scale this, we can make a model out of this. So then they took it to a country, you know, and that's going back to my argument about the cultural and the different views of what slavery is. Because when you look at it, we are modern day slaves. You're a slave. I'm a slave. All the people that think that America, is the land of the free, home of the brave, which it is to an extent, but you're still a slave. You're a slave to your car payment. You're a slave to your house payment. You're a slave to your insurance payment. You're a slave to your cell phone bill. You're a slave to et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You see? And instead of your master or your slave owner providing those things for you, now you have to provide them for yourself. And the only thing that they're providing you with is a job or an economic means to make an attempt to balance that equation of all these things that we told you that you need in this country. And so now you have to be responsible for keeping up the maintenance on those things, which before it was the plantation owner. He kept up the maintenance on his property and his commodities. You see what I'm saying? But now it's the business owners, it's the elite that are doing that from a higher scale, a higher level. But people just can't see that. We're so short-sighted, and we're not able to see a different perspective on things, I guess you could say, because again, depending on from what angle you're looking at and from where your position is, you can plainly see that this entire American system is set up as a big slavery. It's a big slave plantation. Even the ones that have the millions of dollars that look like they're free, they look like they're this, they look like they're that. Why aren't they speaking out about the social and economic injustices? Why are they not speaking out on police brutality? Why are they not, I'm saying as a collective, you may see a sporadic few here or there, that may speak on the social issues and they may speak on the injustices, but you don't see it as a collective of them raising their voice, and speaking out. And so that's because they're in these slave contracts. They're in these things to where if you're an athlete, you've got PR people to where you can't say certain things, and there's always a filter. Or if you're in the entertainment industry, they own your image, they own the rights to your music, they own your masters, they own you. They basically own everything that is you. You know what I'm saying? Except for your physical being. All the anything that comes out of you, they own it. They have creative. What do they call it? Creative ownership or whatever over you as a brand. You know what I'm saying? And so, again, that's nothing but modern day slavery, because that's a system of control. That's a system of of someone telling you that you can or you can't do or say X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why you don't see a lot of these athletes, or the big majority of athletes, or the big majority of musicians speaking out, because they're bound by those either non-disclosure agreements, or they're bound by those contracts. It's written into the contract that they cannot talk about certain things in public, or talk about, or it's a breach of contract. Excuse me. And when you're signing those NDAs, those non-disclosures, that means that you can't discuss the details of your contract. You can't discuss the details of, how much money you're being paid for record sales, or tours, or this or that, whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they're getting a lot of these people. That's why you don't get the details of a lot of these contracts, because they make you sign a non-disclosure. So the public at large, or the people that are aspiring up and coming artists, they can't see how you're getting screwed on your contract, or the fact that you will never own your brand, or that you will never own the rights or the masters of your music. You see what I'm saying? Your catalog. You feel me? And so again, that to me is just modern day slavery. As soon as you sign your name on that line and take that advance or take that money, that's a wrap, bruh. That's a wrap. Because if you violate that contract, they're going to come back after you for that money, or for whatever amount that was agreed upon should you breach said contract. So we have to start coming together as a people. That's why I'm really making this statement, about slavery, is because the more that we realize that we're all slaves to this government, to this system, that the way they have it set up, the better off we're going to be. I feel we're going to see a lot more progress and things get done when we start pushing and bringing the narrative to the forefront that both white and black people have been enslaved in this country in one form or another, by the elite, by the ruling class, by that 1%, you see. And that's the main reason why they want to push that division narrative, because the longer that they can keep us divided along color lines, along religious lines, along party lines, along whatever type of lines that they choose to divide us with, and we allow them to, then they're going to win that divide and conquer. But when we come together and we stand as one, and we all realize that we're all under the same system, and we're all subject to the same laws, we may not be subject to the same scrutiny, we may not be subject to the same measure of law enforcement in our communities, but we are all subject to the same laws, and the same things that happen to us can happen to you. And I think there's a lot of people that are waking up to that reality in this country, and that's what's causing the galvanization of a lot of people coming together. But we need more people to wake up and to realize and to empathize and put yourself in a different perspective and see it from another person's view, and to understand that my view of slavery may be different than this person's view of slavery, may be different than that person's view of slavery. Do you understand? And so the more we come to that agreement and have that conversation and push that narrative, the more that we're going to realize that we're all the same, we're all one, we're all on the same level, we're all subject to taxes, we're all subject to laws, we're all subject to all these things that these higher ups that are higher on the pyramid, they're not subject to. They don't get affected by the same ups and downs of the economy, the ups and downs of the job market, etc. So they honestly have lost that connection with mainstream society. So until we as a people come together and we start to have that conversation, and then we start to put politicians and legislators in those positions that are going to serve our best interests, and that can empathize with us and see things as a regular citizen, see things from a inner city person's perspective, see things from a suburban person's perspective. You have to be able to empathize and place yourself in all people's shoes in order to be able to get that well-rounded view, that 360 view of whatever circumstances may be at hand. So again, I just want to encourage everybody to come together and realize that we're all one. We're all slaves to the same system. And it was just like our forefathers in the freaking Boston Tea Party, that was their way of their warning shot, letting the the uh, the, the, the crown know that, hey, the things you're doing are unfair. The things you're doing are not in the best interest of us as a collective. So here we're going to stand up, and we're going to uh, start to redefine what we accept as a people. And we as American people need to do that again. It is time for us to have another coming together Boston Tea Party uprising, to let these politicians know that they do not have our best interests at heart. They are part of the elite. They look at us as slaves, and we need to change that narrative. We need to start to elect people who have a stake in the community, because these people that are making the laws and that these people that are doing the legislating up on Capitol Hill, they don't live in their communities. They don't live in the same communities of the people that they represent, the large number of people that they represent, okay? So we need to start electing people who have a stake in the community, that are going to be affected by the laws that they pass, okay? We need to start electing people that are going to have the best interest of all people in their respective districts or regions at heart. You know what I'm saying? So I'm nobody. Again, as I always say, you can take my opinion with a grain of salt. This is just one person's perspective, and I would hope that we can have an intelligent conversation on other people's perspectives as well. But this is just what I see. One small part of what I see that is wrong in this country. Um, but I am no one, but I am someone. I am you. I am me. I am us. I am them. We are all. We have to come together as one people, one voice, together, to speak up for the collective and the best interests of all parties involved. Thank you so much for taking your time and energy to listen to this message and allowing me to share my thoughts and express my love to the world. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.